Let's talk about project organization. That's a big deal, okay? Because what I notice is a lot of students put stuff on their computers everywhere, like on the desktop, piling stuff on. There's just like, it seems like hundreds of folders and files on the desktop, right? In the downloads folder, I saw this one person, right, who had like a ton of stuff in the downloads folder. You really need to be organized. And the reason why you want to be organized with your projects is because when you edit something, when you are working on a project, you need to know where those source code files are. And if you're editing one set of files, but you think you're editing another, and you run your project and you don't see any changes, I've seen students really just get very frustrated and to the point of despair, all because they weren't organized. So it's easy to stay organized, right? What you want to do is, and there's a couple ways to skin the cat here, right? So open up your git bash terminal, and you want to, if you do a ls-al, you'll list your directory. Okay, let's just do ls, right, and see if we get a less cluttered view. So here we have application data. We can also take a look at this on the drive, right? So if we open up, some things you won't see. You go to open up your hard drive, go to your user folder, go to your user account, and one thing that I do recommend, and this is for Windows and for Mac OS users, is in your file internet, in your Explorer windows, you want to view file name extensions and hidden items, okay? Because you can do the same thing in the terminal. If you just do an ls, you get a listing of files and folders, but these are not hidden, okay? So these are what would normally be viewed, but Unix uses, and Windows uses, Windows uses a hidden attribute. Unix files use a dot to signify a hidden file, right? So to see the hidden files in the terminal, you have to type ls-al, right? And here, if we go up to the top of that listing, let me make this a little bit bigger. Then we see here I have like a .bash history, .bash profile, .bash rc, .git config. You won't see probably some of these things. It depends, like over time, what you create. There's your desktop folder. And what we're going to create is this dev folder, right? So chances are you don't have that dev folder, but you want to create that folder in your home directory. Now, when you open up a terminal, and this is how I want you to do it, to clear the screen, type clear, and then do an ls to get a listing. Okay. And if you don't have a dev folder there, then what you want to do is you want to use the make dir command, mkdir, and then dev, and hit return. Okay. And then you should see, when you do that, when you do an ls, you should see a dev folder. Okay. Now then navigate into that dev folder by changing directory. So cd dev. Okay. So very important concept when we're doing with terminal operations is this tilde signifies your home directory. To get back to your home directory, type cd all by itself, and you go back to your home directory. That's what that's indicating right there, that prompt. That tilde says, oh, you're in your home directory. You need to clear your mind of all distractions and make sure that you are aware of where you are in your directory structure on your computer at all times, right? Because issuing commands can be fatal. Like, let's say you decide to delete all the files in the directory for whatever reason, and you're in the wrong directory. Well, you will delete all those files in that directory, and it may not be the files you want to delete, right? So you just have to think 2 or 3 times about what command you're typing in. Once we're in the dev, cd dev, hit return. You'll see you're in your dev folder now. When you first create it, there'll be nothing in there. ls, right? I think on Windows you can just type dir too, right? It gives you this listing. So you see, which is a better listing in my opinion. So you see that I have a bunch of stuff in my dev folder, but you won't see anything. You'll just see usually a dot and two dots, right? So when you do a project, you want to create a project folder like so. Let's say that I want to start my first Hello World project, right? So mkdir first project, or usually we'll call it Hello World. Hello World. So we're going to make a directory called Hello World, and I'm going to clear my screen. And then I'm going to type change directory H and then hit tab, and if there's nothing else there with the same spelling, it will complete that for you, right? So that's a shortcut. Change directory into Hello World. And once you're in that Hello World folder, then type code dot. And that will launch Visual Studio Code in that Hello World folder. And then at this point, you can create a Hello World .c file for to add some code to your first Hello World program. But the way I did that was I selected the folder and I clicked the new file. You can add new folders, you can add new files, and as we go through this bootcamp, you'll see various ways of acting with it. You can also create these things straight from the terminal. So let me delete the Hello World file. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to close Visual Studio Code. And if I do a ls, we'll see that I'm in the Hello World folder, but I no longer have that hello world.c file. So another command that's very helpful is touch hello world.c. So that creates the C file. There would be nothing in there, but now if you do an ls or a dir, then you'll see hello world.c. And then if you run code dot, what running this means from the command line is launch Visual Studio Code and use this folder, Hello World, as the folder. And that's the way I want you to think about running Visual Studio Code. You could run Visual Studio Code on a particular file, but generally when you're creating projects, you want to think in terms of project folder. Okay, so if you want to edit a project, then generally you're going to be working with more than one file at the same time. So you want to open up an entire folder, and that folder will have a structure that you will learn over the course of this bootcamp that is conducive to building bigger, complex projects. Okay, but in the beginning, we only have like one or two files in the directory when we're learning the fundamentals. Okay. All right, that's it for organization. At this point, we'll get deeper into organization when I talk about creating a project structure within your project folder, and then we'll need something more than running a compiler from the command line. So that's just an introduction to getting organized. Now, I demonstrated this on the Windows machine, right? But the same holds true for Mac OS. And let me just slide my Mac VM over. And like I said, the same holds true. So I open up a terminal, and it opens up into your home drive, right? So now I'm talking to Mac OS users. If you do an ls, then you'll see you have your applications, documents, library, music, and I already have a dev folder, right? But now, if you don't have a dev folder, you just do the same thing as I did earlier. You use makedir, right? Dev, and then hit return, and then that'll create a dev folder. And then once you have that dev folder, then you change directory into dev and then do an ls. And I already have several folders, right? But let's say I want to create my first hello world, right? So make dir hello world, right? So that's going to create a folder called hello world. Now if I do a ls-al, I see there's my hello world folder. Again, change directory into hello world. Hit return. There's nothing in there initially. Then type, you can type code dot. Open that folder. Okay. And there we go. Now, of course, you just use Visual Studio Code as you would, if you were working with Windows, right? So create a new file, hello world.c, hit return, and it opens it up in your editor. So you want to stay organized. Just to recap, doesn't matter, Mac, Windows, you want to make sure that you know where the code is for the projects that you're working on. So create a dev folder in your home directory, and then in there create subdirectories to organize your projects. Now, like, you're usually taking more than one class, right? So this works for everything, not just C. So if you're programming in Python, you can create a folder for that class, right? So let's say, for example, I'll close this down, right? So I'm in my hello world folder. So I'm going to go back up to my dev. So I'm going to go cd space ... That takes me one directory up. And then I'll do an ls-al, right? So that lists my things. And let's say I'm taking an advanced Python class, right? So I'll create a directory for those projects. Advanced underscore Python class, right? Whatever the name of that class is. Now, I change directory to advanced Python class, and there's nothing in there. So now I'm going to make another subdirectory called, I'll say make dir project 1, right? Or whatever you want to call it, and then change directory into project 1. So now you see your path. Your path is home drive tilde dev advanced Python class project 1. Now open Visual Studio Code, CODE. Okay, dot. Now you're here. Let's just take a look. I mean, we're seeing this error, right? So this is with newer versions of Visual Studio. This is on the Mac OS. I don't see this on Windows. But if we come down here, let's see. Let's get that. I'll just slide this out of the way. You can ignore this error. It says code sign util code validity, right? I've been tracking this down. I don't see where there's a ready solution to this, but it doesn't hurt anything. So you can just ignore that error right there if you see it when you launch Visual Studio Code. All right, so now we're in project 1, and then you can create Python files, right? If you're working on that. But that's how you stay organized, right? Create a directory for your projects. If you're working on a bunch of projects in a class, then create a directory to hold all those projects, right? Like I just showed you. But once again, before I leave this topic, I don't want to kick a dead horse. Staying organized is very important in order to preserve your sanity and for you to quickly find the projects that you're looking for. Okay, at this point, we are ready to compile C programs. All right, so let me show you a simple example on how to do that.